Now this video is going to be about some footage that would turned out to be an incredible adventure for me early on, months ago. Months after I got the motorcycle had very high mileage, or it does. It still does. It didn't go away. And I don't really have any good records after the first 90-something thousand miles. The bike came with 120,000, so there's 30,000 unaccounted for. A lot of people were talking about something called the input spline. The transmission interacts with the motor as you pull and use the clutch, for example. The different parts slide apart and together to you know, either disconnect the power or attach the power, basically. And those sliding parts require some kind of lubrication, which of course it gets at the factory, but for some reason BMW doesn't really specify the need to re-lubricate those parts. And I guess it's become known amongst the BMW experts that this needs to get done. So as I'm talking on the forums about here's my bike and I got this much mileage and blah blah blah, and you start to tell these guys, you know, I have this and such symptoms, the bike's acting weird this way or that way or whatever it is. These guys are such experts that they'll just be like, oh yeah, it sounds like blah blah blah, and then you look into it and it's exactly what they said. So in this case they say, well, it sounds like it could be your input splines, and if you don't know that they've been actually dealt with and re-lubricated, I would do it anyway. One guy says, I do it every 15,000 miles regardless. So that's what I decided I need to get done, because not doing it is could relate in very expensive problems later. So I started planning about how to do that, and now it turns out that a few months after I started getting this in my head, and I'm thinking, how am I going to take apart the whole motor and blah blah blah. This is just like polishing a mirror or changing the spark plug, and I'm not sure I have the tools. I've never done it on this motor. Seems like a big deal, although it's a motorcycle, so all the parts are kind of small. It's still the heart of the whole vehicle. But it turns out that this Airhead club I joined, and they have a great little newsletter, by the way. They have what they call tech days, and that's where some of the more experienced guys meet together at someone's garage, and they kind of go over each other's bikes, and they help out if someone wants to do a kind of a big job or even little jobs. They don't care. They're just having fun with the bikes, you know. They love the machines, they love keeping them running, and it's all good. One happens to pop up. Technically it's not that far. It's like a 45-minute ride or something, almost an hour. One of the organizers tells me that they could possibly do it, and I did have it serviced when I first got it. I had a mechanic look it over, and he said it looks pretty good. He changed the oil, and he changed the rear drive fluid, and he also did new brake fluid, I believe. Stuff like that, basic stuff. And gave it a good once over. I just wanted to make sure nothing was about to blow up, you know. This video is just me trying to, after that long ass explanation, it's just me trying to not just remember what happened, but give a little list of what was going on. In the beginning, I did take pictures, and it sort of looks like this. I can't tell you what everything is because I don't remember. Like I said, I didn't document it well enough to really make it a proper maintenance video. It's just me showing you kind of what happened as I sort of remember it. One of the first things I did was take off the swing arm, which on my bike is a single-sided swing arm. And those require an Allen wrench, Allen key type of thing. It's not that big a deal, but it's what it needs. Then I removed the carburetors, and in some of these shots you can see the carb over the front of the head. I didn't completely disconnect it. And also, according to the people who helped me, one of the little tricks was don't disconnect all the cables and try to change the settings as little as possible. Like, don't completely loosen everything, just loosen it enough to get it off. That way when you go to reattach everything, you know that it's already pretty close to where you left it. So, because you obviously have to put it back together and have it run. Hopefully at least as good as it was, if not better. And that means everything's going to be sort of similar to where you probably had it if it ran okay to begin with. So don't completely loosen everything up so that you have to recalculate everything. If you get it close, putting it back on means you're still kind of close, and you don't, it should be a little easier. Then I removed the tank, the seat, and the top of the air filter box. Now the air box look clean. All that's got to come off. So the pipes are all removed. At the end of these pipes is this metal flange thing that sort of slides in. But with the old grease, it really feels like it's either glued in or somehow clipped in. But in fact, it's not. Not at all. It's just, kind of, semi-glued in to the pipe with old grease. So by twisting it enough, you can break it free. There's no need to break the pipe or try to cut the pipe or try to reach in there and pry it open. If you can get the edge of a screwdriver in, you can try to twist that and give it a little bit of a pry, but make sure you do it on multiple sides at the same time. Like a little here, then a little there, then a little there. So you do, 3-4 different points on opposite sides of each other, like in a triangle or a plus pattern. And that will slowly and gently, break it free. Once it starts coming loose, it'll come off all the way when you're twisting it. Is what I did, and suddenly it broke free. Because everyone was like, I don't know how that attaches. And when you look at these manuals, sometimes it's not really that clear what's going on. So in this case, that's what happened, and I realized, okay, it just slides in. So that's a little thing that if you're having trouble with, now you know what's really happening. So the airbox is held in place by 3 bolts, as I recall. 2 go into the back of the motor, and then one's down into the transmission. You might not be able to see it until you get the pipes out of there, but it's down there at the top, fairly obvious. You might need this long extension. And when you're disconnecting it on the sides of the motor, the transmission from the sides of the motor, there's bolts on both sides, and they're both Allen head type of bolt. But around the shifter linkage down here, you might need a ball head because it comes in at an angle. It's actually, you'll be on that side. It'd be kind of like this over the top of the shifter linkage, which I have a picture here showing you, I hope. And that angle can really only be achieved by something like that, at least simply. And as you can see, it's kind of a longer one. It's not just a driver, a socket Allen type of thing with a little short thing. It's long. and that was really helpful. The other side, you don't need it. There's nothing else interfering. You can just go straight in. On that side, you want that angle, and the ball head makes a big difference. The same thing when you're tightening these up. These don't need to be super high torque, because someday you might want to get it off, and you know all you're going to have is that little ball head. So there's no need to go crazy there. And now while I was here, someone I think told me a story about how they were doing something similar or something like this, and they didn't check the drive shaft bolts around the U-joint, and since they were there anyway, they should have, and then something broke or came loose, or I think they found out that there was a slight rattle or something, so they stopped, took it apart, looked in there, and one of the bolts was loose inside the boot. Like it completely slid out of the hole. I think that was the story. So while I was there, I took the boots off and I retightened them. I didn't retighten them, they were tight. They would say it was fine. I just checked it. But the point is, while you're there, maybe you want to. Not necessary for this job though, because all that comes off together. Now, when you take off the shock, which I think I took off earlier, I took off the shock, and once everything's disconnected, your trans, your shock, once you get it all loose, you and a friend, or you by yourself if you can,
well, as far as I know, nothing's been
grab that back wheel and give it a pull. Give it a pull back. And it should come loose enough. Like I said, all you need is a bit of a gap where you can get your paintbrush in there, which is exactly what I did, which I'm going to show you right now.
And this took about an hour, 2 hours, hour 40 minutes to get this far, which is everything taken off.
You could benefit from the gas car too.
I could, but my bike is new enough that they designed it with those little things in mind. Those
Turn it on just to get fuel. So I mean, fuel should be running out of there right now.
right.
So after all this, it's just out of gas, it turns out.
Rusted shut.
It's been out of gas for 30 years. That's what it turned out to be. Oh, damn it.
Yep, coming out there.
A little bit. Yeah, but nothing comes out when you turn it on, coming out the carburetor with the bowl off.
Yeah, it's nothing's going in there.
So maybe it's clogged inside?
backwards?
No, this way. No, the right.
I mean, if you pull your bowl off, it should be running out of there right now. See? I mean, there's nothing.
Because the filter is still dry. So I think the filters might be clogged up. And they're just not letting any gas out?
Maybe.
You're just getting a little drip over
Yeah,
there.
it's barely coming out.
So can we eliminate the filters?
Yeah, even what just happened on your hand is very low. Do that again?
Is it?
Just turn it on for a sec. Let's see. That's that's better.
Yeah, no,
That's full.
that's fine. Yeah.
How do we eliminate those filters?
A soda straw. Or fuel line.
I don't think it's going to, but talk to him.
This might be after a couple hours of work. Same for a lunch break. It's actually kind of amazing how open it is. Like tore up like that.
Bone dry, all right.
It is bone dry.
Yeah.
Oh, this was such a 36,000 mile bike.
Yeah. This is another guy's bike, a gorgeous piece. Took some pictures as well. This is the guy selling the what do you call it? Those funnel. That's Jack, by the way. We all have these little blue name tags. And someone put, so I wanted to put it out. His son. Jack. What? Hey, how you doing?
I got a picture of Jack.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
He's like, but yeah, but you know, he's like, who's got food for me? Who's got food for me? All right. Who's gonna put for me?
Basically, the hardest part was getting it all off. Once all that's done, you reach in there with the proper grease, some kind of moly grease paste, which I couldn't find. But he had some that, something that was supposedly very good and given to him by somebody else who's one of these expert type characters. But he only had a little tiny bit, like half of a film canister full of it. Yeah, just some squashed in there.
So this is the splines. Everyone says they look bone dry. Good thing I did it. Believe me, it's tempting to just keep going when things seem to work. But the mileage adds up and it really should be done. Pretty dry. So now I'm gonna use this grease that he was kind enough to give me. That's so good. And stick it on there. There we go.
So, but it takes very, very little. I watched the YouTube video by Chris Harris where he does the same type of job, but of course he does it much more thoroughly. You know, he's also saying, don't put a lot on here. Don't put a lot on here. You don't need a lot, because if you get a lot on there, it's just going to sling it around, and it's going to get all over the place and make a big mess. And you might even have other problems. So don't just, you know, paint it on all thick, thinking, oh, this will be good now for 100,000 miles or something. Even though that's tempting, especially after all the work you get in there. You're just thinking all this work just for that. Because once you paint it, at that point you're basically half done. Because now you got to put everything back on. And you also have to torque everything, and you're going to have to do something now that you didn't do before, which was balance the carburetors, because you just took them off. So there's other stuff to do, and let's say it took you an hour and a half, 2 hours to get this far. Okay, it's going to take you an hour and a half, 2 hours to get the next steps too.
So what do you
if you're working at home, you know, I guess it won't really matter, it's in your garage, but since I was at someone else's house and I had to still make the mic not only put back together, but now drive on the freeway at 75, 80 miles an hour, as it turned out in the dark, on a bike that I just reassembled earlier in the evening, you know. So that was kind of a little bit of, everything turned out fine, obviously. This is months ago. The bike's been fine ever since. I'm totally happy with the situation. But, you know, it gives you some pause there if you think about all these variables. I kind of like to have fewer variables in possible situations that might, you know, cause errors that I can't recover from. But in this case, having them know what they're doing, at least somewhat. It was funny, actually, at the very end of this whole deal. He's like, yeah, that was fun. We got it together, and the bike works. And then he helped me tune the carbs, as you can see here. We're tuning it up a little bit.
I think we got it. Yeah, well, let's pull the throttle open. That's idle speed. Oh, where's the screwdriver? Something got faster. Here, back this guy. I want the vacuum to come up on the right side. So they even. That's good. Yeah, just go.
yeah, I felt a lot better doing it, you know, with a group here. You guys all know the motors so well, and you've all, I said to him, you've probably done it before. And he says, oh no, I've never done that before. I've read about it before. I'm like, oh, now you tell me. Actually, you know what, it's probably better you did tell me before. Because then I would have been like, oh shit, I don't know about that now. Like I didn't need any more, you know, question marks in my head. But as they said online, and as this guy was, you know, hinting at, it's really not that big a job. It's not that big a deal. It's not that complicated of a job. It just takes time because there's a lot of little things to do. But in the end, it's really not that complex. Which is actually what I really love about these machines. They're simple enough that you can handle it on your own. You don't need a computer to talk to anything and translate anything for you. It's just like, you know, one of the main benefits of carbs now is that they're not computers. So if you understand basic math and some mechanical skills and knowledge, you get by just fine. You know, when I was thinking about doing this, I was like, how the fuck am I going to do? No, I have no idea how to proceed, you know. So hopefully this gives somebody some kind of clues. Learning enough to figure out that you can do it on your own, that's fantastic. But even if it's just learning enough to realize this looks too involved, I don't want to, you know, maybe I don't have the tools or whatever, fine. Now you know that for sure, and you can start to decide how you want to proceed. But based from starting from a place of knowledge, not just guessing. Because like I said, the manuals don't really talk about it. The Haynes and the climbers, I don't think they mention it at all. They mentioned that there are input splines, but I don't remember, they don't tell you like the procedure of how to do what I'm showing you now. So again, if this is helpful, like and subscribe. And if you hated it, like and subscribe. If you loved it, like and subscribe, comment. Appreciate the support. And I'll talk to you later.